This is crowning your data. We're going to look at FME's capability around orchestration. It's been a big theme of the day. So yeah, join us on our journey from data capture to cleansing and enrichment and hopefully to 3D model generation. But before we do that, in the beginning, there were lime bikes and bus shelters. Siobhan has been playing around with this sort of stuff for a while, generating 3D models of bikes, bus shelters, cars for the engineering space. So we thought, that's a good start. How big can we go? You know, we all liked visiting castles as kids, so we thought it might be a nice opportunity to think about, you know, some historic buildings. So Dave got in contact with Tom Colley of Welsh Government, who gave us a contact for their historic environment division. So the challenge, Wales is a land of legends, of dragons, history etched into every stone, and Cadw are the guardians of this incredible kingdom of treasures, responsible for the historic places, inspiring current and future generations. But with this great kingdom comes a challenge. How do you effectively capture and understand this data, share the story of each and every one of these historic gems, and how do you move beyond a simple photograph and a few notes in a logbook? Excellent. So yeah, Cadw, they're Welsh Government's Historic Environment Service, and they care for the historic places of Wales, inspiring current and future generations. It was castle themed. They gave us an abbey to work with, but you know, close enough. Nice big historic building. So what if we could take the raw materials, the data points or the stones or bricks of information collected in the field and somehow transform them into crown jewels? What if we could do a single site visit and that, you know, not just result in data, but enriched data, cleansed data, intelligent information, and maybe a 3D model that you can hold in your virtual hands. So that was kind of the quest really behind our proof of concept and what prompted us really to reach out to Cadw. And, you know, we've built workflows like this before, but not really with objects quite as big as a historic building. So it was going to be an interesting challenge. So to help us, we should probably introduce our Fellowship of Tech. So we're going to take you on that journey. We're going to show you how we made this happen. So first up, Claire is going to take us through Survey123, which was our digital night, venturing into the field to gather the raw intelligence. And then Siobhan will reveal the magic happening back at the castle, where our master orchestrator FME commands our wise AI sage to clean and cleanse and enrich the data. So I'm going to hand over now to...
Thanks very much. Nice crown.
Yeah, thanks.
So yeah, we're going to go through a few steps of this orchestration. We'll start off by looking at Survey123, just so that you can see the information that comes in there. So we're going to validate, we're going to enrich the data, and we're going to hopefully finish with a 3D model at the end. So looking at that data input, you imagine you're out there in the field, looking at a castle or a lovely abbey, as we were given. So you can see there on the right, you've got Survey123. We've got a lovely misspelled address with half a postcode missing, a phone number that's formatted a bit oddly, and then actually uploading images of 3 sides of the profile of the castle or site or abbey. You've got the email address also captured there, the phone number. And then what that does is triggers a webhook when that survey is submitted that can be received by FME. So that takes us on to the next step. We're going to go and look at FME flow that is listening for that webhook, and that's going to be received as JSON. So this is a screen grab from that automation in FME flow. The green part on the left is what goes into the webhook. So you've got those images, that phone number, that terrible address, and then a screen grab there of how that looks in Survey123. So you kind of set that up in the settings page. If you click through on the web version, you'll see that. And then that's going to be passed to our FME workspace on the right-hand side that's going to do some validation and cleaning of that data. And on that note, I'm going to pass over to Siobhan in a minute. But just before we do, we'll take a look at the first part, which is how that is received. so that JSON extractor. And the bit that I want to focus on this workspace is the email address. So that regex there in that tester checks that that's a valid email address, something that I could see would really easily be used in the presentation we've just seen. If you're not fluent in regex, I am not, there's a really nice button in FME called AI Assist that will help you craft that to get the validation that you're looking for. And one does not simply trust validated data. And now I'm going to pass over to Siobhan, who's going to look at the next bit of validation.
Thanks. Perfect, Claire. Cool. So once we've got our email validated, we want to validate a bit of extra information. So we're using the Dual Gemini Vision Connector. It's a custom transformer we've published to the FME Hub. There's a QR code if you want to go to the FME Hub. We've got 8 or so AI-focused transformers. Connect to Olama, Google, OpenAI, whatever your flavour of choice is. But in this case, we're using it today to validate and enrich our Castle Survey123 information. So first of all, look at enriching data. So we've got the Castle address. We can pass that in, and we want Google Gemini to return to us the building age, a website URL taking us to the listing information, as well as that listed building number. I don't think typically if I was to do this a year or so ago, AI would be able to return accurate information that I would rely on or trust. But with the use Google search, so this button at the bottom of the transformer uses grounding with Google search in Gemini. So it's going off and getting that real-time information from Google. So it's not going to hallucinate the building number. In the Christmas app as well, you saw it with the shopping. You can also do grounding with Google Maps, which goes to the Google Maps API, which is also very cool. And then from there, I also wanted to validate some information. So is it actually a heritage site? Is it an or a castle? And fix my phone number. So it starts with a 7 or a 0. Make it do +44, give me the full number. And also the full postal address. So looking at that prompt, we've touched on it today a few times, how important our prompts, but just to highlight here, we're including the structured JSON at the end of our prompt. So we're asking Google Gemini every time to return that exact JSON structure, so that's reusable, and we'll get the same output from an AI request every time. And with that, Claire's going to talk around how we can push this back into AGOL.
So the next step that we're going to do is geocode our data from our lovely validated address. If you remember actually though, in that survey we never captured geometry and we only had half a postcode. So we've actually fixed that, improved the data. Now we're going to geocode on it and we're going to write that back to the original AGOL feature service to add that geometry that was never actually there. The phone number and the address have been validated and fixed, but we're adding now additional attributes that never actually existed. So the site age, the owner, the listed building reference, the URL, the heritage listing and more. So yeah, we've improved our data beyond what was actually captured. And the next step that we're going to touch on is the image extraction.
Perfect. So with that survey, we had the 3 or 4 images that were sent from our survey. So all we're going to do first in this workspace is use the image feature to read in those attachments from AGOL, and then we're just going to prepare it for our submission to an AI service using the binary encoder. Today you'll notice our lovely Abby have white backgrounds, which is quite useful. Previously, I've done this actually working in this office. I went for a walk around the block and took a photo of a line bike and things, and so I had to go and use Google Gemini to first remove the background from images. So you can use the transformer again, this time passing in the raster geometry and just asking Google Gemini to remove the background and keep the object in the picture. So you get the nice line bike, by the way it draws over there, and the background magically disappears. And then from there we're passing those images 3 or 4, the front, side, back, left and right of the images we're passing to our third AI, I guess, or third service in this workflow. So today we're using a service or a website, File AI. They've got a range of models on there that do a whole bunch of different things, whether you're turning images into 3D models, text to speech, text to JSON, images to videos, 3D, anything. There's a range of models on there, but this is more just to point out that you could use any API and FME to do whatever you're after. So we pass those images in with an HTTP crawler and we get a lovely abbey of some description returned to us. Quite impressive detail overall. And then last week we found a new model that came out on the same platform and thought we'd give it a go with this one as well. So this one, we've just taken some screenshots of the model, but you can see there's a bit even more detail now on this model, so it's just quite cool to see how quickly these models are improving. I mean, if you think about the images Google created a year or so with funky hands and faces of people, and now it's really hard to tell what's real and what's not. And with that, Claire's going to do the final scene.
Thanks. So we started our journey in Esri, in Survey123, so we wanted to finish in the same place. So this is an ArcGIS scene, so we've got our castle that Siobhan prepared for us, and we've draped that over some satellite imagery and put it in, and if you look really closely, there's 3 line bikes ready to ride away into the sunset away from our castle. So you can see really quickly how, you know, that can become something very real that you could use to visualize your data. And yeah, I think it costs something like 20p to run a model like that, so we're not talking huge amounts of money or investment. You know, you can get a prototype working pretty quickly and call out to those different services that do the job that you need. And on that final note, I'll pass you back to Simon.
Thank you. So what does this actually mean? It's not really just about a cool 3D model, it's kind of a fundamental upgrade to a process. And you know, with that it gives us smarter conservation, get richer, more accurate data for better decision making on preservation, automated efficiencies, so the entire process from photo to model is orchestrated by FME. And you know, it's not manual labour, it's seamless, it's repeatable workflow, and FME is doing the heavy lifting for us. It gives us deeper insights. Our AI doesn't just clean the data, it adds layers of understanding that a human might miss, identifying potentially architectural features or potential issues automatically. And also from a public point of view, it's a little bit more engaging. So if Cadw were to, you know, take this and apply it to all of their models and put them on the website, you're not just telling a story about history, you're letting people hold it and touch it and explore and connect in a brand new way. What's the future? This proof of concept was for one site, but you know, puns continuing, the crown has been forged, the process is proven. The real magic is that it's not a one-off spell, it's a blueprint. And I know that's a cheesy sort of analogy, but I think it holds water, much like a moat around a castle. So imagine sort of scaling this across dozens, hundreds of sites, creating a comprehensive interactive 3D sort of replication of Wales's entire historical estate. It'll be a true digital kingdom. And you know, this could lead to a future that is, don't need that slide anyway, more intelligent, more efficient, and infinitely more engaging. And that is a wrap. So thank you very much.